As you saw in the last episode, we've got the scoop all mounted up. Now I want to mount the vent, which is going to include cutting into the roof here. I've made this little template and lined it up as best as I can, centered it. Hopefully it's good. It's going to be kind of hard to tell until I cut into it. So wish me luck. Let's start cutting. If you've been tuning into the last couple episodes of the Impreza build, you know that we've spent most of our time stripping this car down. So pretty much everything is gone on the inside. And then at the end of the last episode, we started mocking some things up. We got the hood on, we got the scoop on, and just haphazardly taped the panels on as well. In my off time, I came in and just started throwing a couple extra body panels on, like the trunk. This thing is a lot nicer than the one that came off of it. And this JDM bumper looks way better, has the rear spats that everyone wants, and it's just a cleaner look over the USDM one. I was lucky enough here for the bumper beam to fit on the underside of it, but on the front, it's a different story. We're doing the 2.5 RS bumper, which looks really cool, but unfortunately does not fit up so well with the L bumper beam. So I'm gonna start cutting some of these pieces out, take a little weight off of it, but more importantly, make it fit with this bumper. I want to take a quick pause and show you where we're at. We're pretty much done cutting the bumper beam. You can see a significant amount of it is gone. The last parts are just these little tabs, basically cleanup. I've got about a half hour, 45 minutes into grinding on this. It's been a messy job, but pretty easy overall. I want to see how much weight we've taken off. I did it before. I believe it was 28 pounds, so I'm expecting this to be at least half that. Even more, almost a third of the weight remains, which is awesome because not only is it going to save weight on the car, but we are going to be able to mount that 2.5 RS bumper nice and cleanly on it. Now on the rear, the JDM bumper fits just fine with the stock bumper beam, but I am going to cut it down again for weight savings. If we can take off almost 20 pounds like we did on that one, then that's going to be huge. I mentioned we're going to do the dry ice on what remains of the sound deadening, and then eventually we want to fix my tape job here by hard mounting this onto the car with Cleco clips. And if you don't know what that is, they are basically temporary rivets. They look like this. And what that's gonna allow us to do is mock up pretty much the full exterior of the car for you guys to take a look and for us to know what we need to fix. Obviously the fenders are going to take a lot of work. Some of these OEM parts are dented and scratched and things like that. So we're going to get an idea of how much work remains, then tear it all apart, and then really start the buildup on the shell, cutting all that rust out, patch paneling it, and going from there. Obviously, we're looking at a pretty rough mock-up here, but it does give you an example of what the front's gonna look like. Once all the panels are kind of set the way they're supposed to be, a lot of work needs to be done to those fenders, that's for sure. And then a lip added on. I also might cut out some of this. It is gonna look really good once it's all done. We're about 60% of the way there, so there is quite a bit of work to do here, but I'm gonna jump over to the back of the car, cut that bumper up, take some weight off of it, and then we'll move on to the sound deadening. All right, as promised, I picked up a couple bags of dry ice. There's a big chunk that I'm not gonna touch, and we're gonna put it in the car, try and get all this sound deadening out. Some of it, because it's older, has started to pop up, so I'm hoping this is gonna go pretty quick. But generally, if you get a big block of dry ice, you can break it apart into smaller chunks with a hammer, and then just lay it out about 5 to 10 minutes. It should start bubbling all of that sound deadening up, and then you just scrape it away. So let's hope it goes to plan. All right, the sound deadening removal went according to plan. We had that dry ice on there for even less time, about 3 to 5 minutes, and all of it came out pretty cleanly in large-ish chunks. You can see the trunk is done, the cab is all done. There's a couple little chunks we need to get in there that we'll get to, but we've collected the majority of it, and I was curious just how much weight it's gonna take off the car. You remember with the front and rear bumpers, we took off about 20 pounds each, so we have a bunch of sound deadening. I'd say this is an easy extra 20 pounds, but let's find out. 24 pounds of just this sound deadening. So that's out of the car now. Little things like that do make a difference. Between the little panels we cut out, the rust that has taken weight off the car naturally, and all of these things that we've done, there's an easy 100 pounds that's been removed of unnecessary things. So we're well on our way to making this a lightweight build. You also have seen that I've mocked up the front. It's looking pretty good. It's very rough right now. There's a lot of things that need to actually get put together. It's pretty much zip tied at the moment. So what I'm gonna be focusing on now that the sound deadening is out is getting those rear quarters on with the Cleco pins that we have and making this look like a complete car. And that's how I wanna end the episode, is showing you what the car will look like once you squint your eyes and can kind of have a little imagination at the end of this whole build, what we'll end up with. As I mentioned, we're gonna wrap things up by mounting these rear overs, and we're gonna do that with these little Cleco clips. So Corey is gonna demonstrate how they work. In case you've never used one, like me, show us what it's all about.
They're pretty slick. So they're basically a removable rivet, which is gonna be great for mocking these panels up. So you have this special tool. This is the Cleco clip, or a quick lock. Basically what it does is it mimics the flange of a rivet, but when you depress it, it gets thinner, so you could fit it into a hole. So I'm gonna drill a hole real quick and just show you, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. All right, so we have our hole there. We're gonna take our Cleco here, press it all the way down, pop it through, and then the spring-loaded action locks it into place. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill through the panel on the car and the overs, and we're gonna sandwich them in between with these clips to mock everything up before we actually attach them to the car.
Just in time for Halloween, we've got some Hellraiser vibes going on the car now. I think it looks good, and more importantly, it has tacked this panel into place really nicely. And actually, shout out to Duraflex. We give that company a lot of shit for panels not fitting right, but I would say for the price I paid, not that bad. Pretty good here all across. A little bit of work and sanding to be done there, but I mean, for like a 3.5 foot panel, that's not that bad. What do you say, Corey?
I think it looks pretty good. I mean, any fiberglass kit's gonna need work, but not too much work on this one.
No, exactly. So we've got these on now. We've got the bumpers on the front end all fitted up. I think that's a good way to wrap up this episode. And then the next one, we'll probably start out with having this car a bit more assembled. I'm thinking putting the doors together. I've got the OEM 2.5 RS side skirts that are gonna be going on. And really that's gonna give us a vision of the entirety of the car. And then it's back to basics, tearing it all back apart and fixing a lot of this stuff. So the welders probably aren't gonna be too happy about all the work they have to do, but that's okay, that's what they signed up for. So thanks for tuning into this episode. Catch us on the next one. Pass it around, subscribe, like, do all that stuff. Support us in any way you can. Thank you very much. See ya.